Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. This channel is The Layman. The reason it's called The Layman is because we take very seriously on this channel that our wisdom consists in the knowledge that we know nothing. That Socratic quote, my favorite interpretation of that quote is the interpretation I think given sometimes by Dr. John Vervaeke. Don't quote me on that. But the idea is that tomorrow's self should always consider the theories and the ideas of today's self to either be problematic or incomplete or just incorrect, meaning you're always in this mushrooming, blossoming state of development, right? And I think that my interaction with the God idea is kind of always in development. I'm always willing to try new ideas and hit what I fundamentally believe with hard things to make sure that that should be what I believe. So we test our ideas, we test our thoughts. What I want to show you guys today is this interaction between a great phenomenologist. I call him a phenomenologist. Others call him a spiritual leader, a guru. His name is Rupert Spira, and he is on the Curt Jaimungal podcast. If you guys don't know who Curt Jaimungal is, phenomenally bright interviewer. He has a background in mathematical physics. And so hopefully we can see Rupert Spira with this phenomenological demonstration of God that may or may not work for an inquisitive scientific mind. So without any further ado, let's kind of take a look at what they're talking about here.
Experiment or exercise can you take them and even me through right now that perhaps takes a minute that can help open that door, even if it's just a crack?
So the one, if you guys are not familiar with the Curt Jaimungal podcast, on the left of your screen is Rupert Spira. He's the one in the glasses. And Curt is the young inquiring mind asking, look, can we get a phenomenological demonstration of God or of pure being, of the infinite, the omnipresent? Right? And let's take a look. Tell me if you buy this. If you don't, leave it in the comments why. I will correspond with you.
Well, let's start with the exploration of the essential nature of ourself. So if you were now to go through the experiment that we described previously, remove from yourself in your imagination, do this thought experiment, remove from yourself your thoughts, because your thoughts are obviously not essential to you. They are continually appearing and disappearing, but you remain intact.
So can you guys do that right now? Throughout this, I want you to follow this instruction, right? Can you quiet your thoughts? Or if you can't, can you at least admit that there are those who can? Because that's going to be the next step. Some of us have thoughts that are just always, especially if you're a Westerner, we're just inundated with all kind of technology that just keeps our mind moving 24/7. But if you can quiet your thoughts, or at least recognize that the thoughts come and go, that they're transient, right? Let's continue.
You don't feel that a little bit of yourself disappears every time a self.
Should I be sitting? Should I be sitting for this? Should I be sitting down, or it doesn't matter?
No, just stay exactly as you are.
All right, okay. Sorry for interrupting.
No, that's all right. So remove your thoughts, or it's not actually necessary to get rid of your thoughts. You can imagine removing your thoughts.
There you go. You can imagine it if you can't do it, right? It all works the same.
They are not essential to you. Imagine removing your feelings. They are obviously not essential to you.
And when he says they're not essential to you, what's happening here is like a phenomenological undressing. He's saying, who are you really? We can discover that in real time. Sometimes when I run this with people, I'll say, and this is another experiment that Rupert sometimes does, he'll say, pick an object, any object. Let's say I choose this phone. He'll say, give me some properties of the object. The object is black, the object is large. He goes into it, and then he shows you how to just systematically erase the things that are not fundamental to yourself. I will stop interrupting.
Imagine removing your memories. Imagine removing your bodily sensations, the tingling of your face or your hands or your feet. Imagine you're in a sensory deprivation tank. You have no sights, no sounds, no tastes, no textures, no smells. None of these are essential to you. So you are to continue the undressing metaphor, you're taking off everything that is superfluous to you.
Guys, these kind of practices are what led me to this revolution in thought. I was a Calvinist Christian in Colorado Springs. I'm still a Christian. I'm kind of non-denominational mystic. But I went into a Nichiren Buddhist center. It's called the Sakugakai Temple in Colorado Springs. If you're ever there, thank them for me. Because I went in there with the intention to convert them to Christianity. Imagine the arrogance of that, walking into a Buddhist temple with the intent of converting Buddhists into Christians. So I went in there with that agenda, and they listened to me. They gave me open, curious attention, which I wasn't expecting. But then they did this. They slowly began to unpack what I thought I was. And suddenly I came to realize, wow, all of these things I thought were me were just transient things that I chose to identify with in the moment. So I love that the undressing metaphor. Let's really find what you exactly are.
Now what remains?
I would call it something that feels or senses.
I love Curt because of how honest he is. He doesn't have a prepared answer. He's genuinely making Rupert a recipient of his open, curious attention, which is, it's the currency of love, open, curious attention. He's also abiding by the rules of the cooperative principle in cognitive science, which is, the maxims, the four maxims. There's a maxim of quantity, the maxim of quality, the maxim of manner, and the maxim of relevance. Both of them are truly cooperating, trying to get to this place. And I just love how open Curt is, while being honest about some areas where he's kind of struggling here.
I would call it something that feels or senses.
Something that feels, something that, could we broaden it and say something that experiences? Or even more accurate, something that knows, and by knows I don't mean conceptually, something that knows or is aware or experiencing.
Right. Now I'm not saying that I was able to get there in its pure form, but I could see myself.
No. You're dead right. Your answer was perfect. That which remains is something that senses, but something that is aware, but without anything to be aware of. Something that experiences without there being anything to experience.
So when I describe this to atheists, and I mean, when I say atheist, I mean these people who are my friends. I was just texting Brian, who's going to be on this channel, who is an atheist. He and I are having lunch at 2:30. We're having a late lunch because I have... On my other channel, we're going through Animal Farm and we're doing a book study. But so when I say atheist, even though I'm not an atheist, atheists that are not people I consider my enemy. I consider them my holy opponent, which means a holy opponent is something that you go through this reciprocal process with, this strength building. I want to make the atheist a better atheist, and I want the atheist to make me a better theist by challenging me in the ways that I need to be challenged in order to grow. Does that make sense? But whenever we get to this point, whenever I'm trying to describe this to atheists, and let me know, correspond with me if you are an atheist in the comments, it usually gets to this point where it's like, I don't know what the heck is meant by pure subjectivity. It's like, usually there's a subject and an object. I don't know what pure awareness means without being aware of something. Let me know if you're having trouble grokking that in the comments, regardless of your worldview.
That experiences without there being anything to experience. Or we could call it pure experiencing without any objective content, or pure knowing, or pure consciousness. Now, can you go further back? Let's continue the undressing. In your actual experience, can you remove consciousness? Can you go further back in your experience than that which knows or is aware?
Guys, the silence between them is so important. It really showcases how beautifully Curt is paying attention to this, because you're pulling out the ineffable. It's so important to be silent when you have nothing to say. And a lot of times those of us who are familiar with debate, right? We just think, no matter what happens, it's my job to fill the silence. If something is threatening my worldview, we almost treat our ideas like they're possessions that we have to accessorize. Have you ever met people who treat their beliefs like possessions? It's like, oh, I've believed this for 15 years and I've accessorized it with all these, meta beliefs, right? I love how Curt is just embracing the ineffability of pure awareness. It's exactly what he should be doing at this point.
Right. So what you're getting at right now is an identification between you, so me, and awareness. Because as soon as I say where I'm not aware, then I'm no longer there.
As soon as you say I am not aware, I'm then going to ask you, what is the I who is not aware?
And look, guys, this isn't a gotcha. It's not, you're in a corner. He's really trying to kind of expose to you. And this is one of the brilliance. This is one of the most brilliant, if you want to call it an apologetic argument. I don't think it's much of an apologetic argument. They're being completely cooperative, just trying to discover what's underneath. But what's amazing about this process is that when you begin to ask these questions, you get the person who you're asking will have the truth come out of their own mouths. And so for me, whenever I'm going through this with someone, it's more of a powerful proof because they're letting you know what they feel, as opposed to you giving them a dogmatic set of truths propositionally, let's say.
What is the I who is not aware? What experience could you have of that one in the absence of awareness?
I don't know.
You couldn't have any experience of it because awareness is the prerequisite for experience. So to postulate something prior...
There's something there that I really want to keep. And some of these things, guys, I've learned so much from Rupert. I've learned so much from Curt, and the people who, Curt Jaimungal has on his podcast. Definitely follow the TOE podcast, Theories of Everything. That's Curt Jaimungal's podcast. And what's amazing about people like Rupert is that they have word tracks for things that we all kind of deeply want to express. And it's beautiful when you come across someone who has the words. I'm studying relevance theory right now in my personal life, and relevance theory is a theory in 1986 where they asked the question: how do we say so little and yet understand so much? Right? The brain is always filling in all these gaps. So it's amazing to have a word track that is like, yes, that's what I need to say whenever I want someone to understand this or that complex thing.
That one in the absence of awareness.
I don't know.
You couldn't have any experience of it because awareness is the prerequisite for experience. So to postulate something prior to awareness is purely conceptual. It is abstract. It cannot be verified in experience because awareness is the prerequisite for experience. So if we're wanting not to talk about abstract philosophy, but if we're wanting to make an experiential exploration of ourself, we have to admit that we can go all the way back to awareness. We can remove everything from ourself apart from the fact of being aware. And in that sense, if we stay close to the evidence of experience, awareness or consciousness is our essential irreducible self, if we can call it a self. Now, can I ask you
Now, let me know, guys, timestamp it anywhere where you disagree so far, because I think that they're walking together. And of course, you can say, oh, consciousness is just the result of the brain, and, consciousness is just the result of neural activity, and, all of these different theories, right? That's fine once I don't want to say once the ego gets involved, but once the obfuscated mind, of course, gets involved, then you come up with a whole bunch of theories. But they're in the realm of what we can experience directly. Direct experience. What does your direct experience tell you before you begin theorizing?
Can we continue the experiment?
Please.
If I were to ask you now, describe the sensations at the soles of your feet. Just pluck a couple of words. Just give us a
tingling.
Tingling. Perfect.
And slight pain.
Tingling, painful. Okay.
Slight.
Now, if I were to...
More warmth, but also
okay.
I feel like my toes are cold.
Perfect. If I were to ask you to describe your thoughts now, just very briefly.
Fleeting.
Okay, that's sufficient.
Fleeting and rapid.
Fleeting and rapid. Perfect. Okay. Now, do the experiment we previously did. Remove everything from yourself that is not essential to yourself, and you remain just with the fact of being aware, without being aware of anything. And tell us about that experience.
And guys, it's so easy to take the easy way out and run from this challenge. And because whenever your intuition begins to speak, your right brain wants to go in and label. It's like, oh, I want to put a label on it. I want to categorize it. I want to take, and so this pure awareness, he's asking us to do the same thing with the awareness that we are aware of. Right? We're clearly self-aware. So there's this recursive, reflective property of awareness itself. And he's saying, give me some properties of that which is aware. Give me some properties of awareness itself. Just like you were aware of the tingling sensation in your feet, just like you were aware of your thoughts. Let's see.
Tell us about that experience.
His struggle is so beautiful because it's ineffability, which is one of the God properties, right? God is ineffable. God is unable to be spoken about, right? And here we are interacting with something which is definitely there. No one's going to deny awareness, and yet when we remove the obfuscations, we're left with something ineffable. It's very difficult to come up with any words here.
Rupert, I'm trying to get there.
No.
I imagine that I'm not an experienced meditator. And
No. On the contrary,
I can see I'm getting to...
Curt, it's much better, sorry to interrupt, it's much better if you're not an experienced meditator and you don't have the correct answers.
Okay, great. Maybe I can serve as a vessel for some of the people who are similar.
So try again to describe, try to find words that best describe the pure fact of that which is aware. In other words, what you referred to as your essential, irreducible self. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, and I can also find imagery, almost like artistic representations. I'll explain that after.
But I want you to describe the actual experience. Like you told us, your toes are tingling, they're cold. Your thoughts are fleeting and rapid. Try to give us words that accurately describe the nature of that which is aware, without referring to anything that you are aware of.
He's trying to pull your mind out of consciousness, right? The mind is something you have. Awareness is something you are, right? And so it's almost like he's trying to remove the modal confusion from both Curt and the audience, right? And we endure this modal confusion between the being mode and the having mode. Whenever we investigate something, we want to have it, we want to take it. But awareness is something you can't have. It's something that you are. And it's very, very difficult sometimes to remove the obfuscations and to remove everything, because you begin to identify with the things that you take seriously in this life. They become your identity. And so it's almost like you have to remove things that you've taught yourself all your life were so stable. And I love how honestly Curt is going through it.
It feels expansive. It feels...
Okay, let's just stay with that for a minute. Expansive. So it's vast. It's not tiny. It's not small. It's not contracted.
No.
Guys, we're going to continue this with a different video. Please comment, share, subscribe. This is a beginning of a journey. Let's go through this journey together. Answer, ask any tough questions. Let me know what you think either of them are forgetting, or, if you, weren't able to get through it, or if, maybe to you it doesn't seem as profound as it does to me. Let me know. Thank you for journeying with me. I appreciate it.